The Young and the Restless spoilers. Cain Ashby had spent years believing he was destined for a triumphant return, a resurrection of sorts, one that would restore his pride, rebuild his fractured family, and place his name among the corporate titans of Genoa City. He convinced himself that Arabesque's AI technology, Aristotle Dumas, was his masterpiece, a digital oracle capable of predicting market behavior, manipulating acquisition paths, and outmaneuvering even the savviest business owners. In Cain's mind, Aristotle was not just a program, it was his redemption, the key that would force the world to take him seriously again. But the cruel irony of ambition is that it blinds even the smartest men. And Cain never saw the downfall coming until everything he built began to crumble beneath him. Arabesque was supposed to be the beginning of his empire, the future he would proudly present to his children as proof that he was not just a flawed man trying to outrun his past, but a visionary. Instead, it became the weapon that destroyed him. One flaw in the system, one breach, one manipulation, Victor Newman's manipulation, and Cain watched his seemingly invincible digital kingdom collapse into ash. Investors abandoned him. Partners withdrew. The AI he thought would conquer the world instead turned into a self-inflicted wound that spread faster than he could contain. But nothing prepared Cain for the personal betrayals that came with the professional ones, especially Lily Winters. Lily had always been the moral compass he refused to follow. When Cain finally confessed to her that he was the mastermind behind Aristotle Dumas, the anonymous online figure who engineered ruthless corporate movements and questionable business deals, she was stunned into silence. Not because she didn't believe he was capable of building such a tool, but because she never imagined he would willingly attach himself to something that caused so much destruction. And when Lily learned that 3 people had died in the south of France during an incident linked to Cain's offshore fortress, his self-proclaimed innovation retreat, she felt something inside her snap. Cain expected confusion, anger, maybe even disappointment. But what he received from Lily was rejection so sharp it left him breathless. She told him point-blank that he had created a monster, that Aristotle was never a business tool but an ego-driven alter ego he used to justify unethical actions. She accused him of hiding behind a digital identity to do things he would never have had the courage to do openly. And she told him she could no longer defend him, not to herself, not to their children, and not to the world. But the final blow came from their children, who learned the truth not through Cain's confession, but through social media leaks connecting him to Aristotle Dumas. His son and daughter, already struggling with the emotional fallout of their parents' complicated history, were horrified. They wanted nothing to do with a father who had built an empire of manipulation, deception, and blood-soaked ambition. Cain tried desperately to reach them, but every message went unanswered, every call ignored. It was the kind of heartbreak that crushed his spirit far more violently than Arabesque's financial collapse ever could have. And in the middle of all that devastation stood Phyllis Summers, the one person Cain never expected to be his anchor. Where Lily saw danger, Phyllis saw brilliance. Where Lily saw recklessness, Phyllis saw potential. Where Lily wanted Cain to stop, Phyllis encouraged him to push further. She embraced the chaos, admired the audacity, even understood the wounded ego behind Cain's need for control. She didn't flinch when he revealed the truth about Aristotle. In fact, she admired it. Cain mistook this acceptance for loyalty. He mistook Phyllis's enthusiasm for devotion. He mistook her presence for partnership. He did not realize Phyllis Summers was playing her own game. For years, Phyllis has operated on instinct, survival, reinvention, and unpredictability. She thrives in the gray areas of morality, dancing between brilliance and betrayal with a smile that never reveals what she is truly thinking. So when Cain let his guard down, truly down, for the first time in months and showed her the USB drive containing every line of Aristotle's code, every secret algorithm, every document tied to Arabesque's risky expansions and offshore assets, Phyllis knew she was holding a weapon more valuable than anything she had touched in years. And she stole it. Not out of malice, not even out of greed, but out of opportunity. That USB was leverage, power, revenge, survival, all wrapped into one fragile piece of plastic. It was Cain's mind, Cain's crimes, Cain's legacy, and Phyllis took it without hesitation. She told herself Cain did not deserve to keep such a destructive force in his hands. She told herself she was protecting him from further ruin. But deep down, she knew the truth, she took it because she could. And now, the question hanging over Genoa City like a dark cloud is simple. Who will buy the USB? Because in the wrong hands, Aristotle Dumas could dismantle entire companies in hours. It could bankrupt CEOs. Ruin reputations. Expose scandals. Manipulate markets. Upset dynasties. It is a weapon disguised as a tool, and Phyllis knows everyone, from Victor Newman to Tucker McCall to Devon Hamilton to the Abbotts, would kill to obtain it. Victor, already using fragments of the AI Phyllis leaked earlier, would pay any price for the complete system. Jack Abbott, seeing the threat firsthand, might buy it just to destroy it. Tucker would love nothing more than to weaponize it against the very companies that exiled him. Even Adam Newman might secretly want it, either to protect Newman Enterprises from Victor's recklessness or to turn the tables entirely. Phyllis Summers stands at the center of a bidding war that hasn't begun yet. But will shake Genoa City when it does. She holds a USB drive capable of triggering corporate warfare, family implosions, financial disaster, and political fallout. And the most dangerous part of it all? Cain doesn't know she has it. He still believes she is on his side. He still believes she understands him. He still believes she is the one person who truly sees him. But Phyllis Summers has never been predictable. She has never been easy to read. And now, holding a device that could rewrite the future of Wisconsin's most powerful empires, she must decide whether to sell it, destroy it, expose it, or use it to reshape her own destiny. Because there is one truth Cain has not yet accepted. Phyllis may accept him. But she will never choose him over power. The revelations swirling around Genoa City deepen into a vortex of betrayal, strategy, and emotional ruin as the truth behind Aristotle Dumas continues sending shockwaves through every family in town. What once began as Cain Ashby's silent attempt to rise from the ashes of his old life has now metastasized into a crisis touching the Newmans, the Abbotts, and anyone foolish enough to stand too close. The story stretches back to the summer, to the labyrinth incident when Victor Newman demanded Adam expose Cain as the puppet master behind the Aristotle persona. Victor had crafted that moment down to the smallest detail, the maze, the gathering of key figures, the tension thick enough to electrify the air. He wanted the reveal to be spectacular, humiliating, a public execution of Cain's reputation. Adam was supposed to deliver the blow, to speak Cain's name into the center of the crowd and let the fallout destroy Arabesque before Cain realized what hit him. But Adam hesitated, not because he doubted Victor's strategy, but because Chelsea Lawson refused to support something so ruthless. She told him Cain didn't deserve that level of humiliation, not when his family already suffered so much chaos. Chelsea's influence, combined with Adam's lingering conscience, delayed the plan long enough for everything else to shift. By the time Adam reconsidered, by the time he recognized that Victor's reason for targeting Cain had run its course, the situation had evolved into something bigger. Adam redirected his focus to the mysterious Flynn persona, his obsession with decoding the villain behind the scenes, the architect pulling strings where no one was looking. The flashback of Adam scaling the rocky wall in the French countryside, clutching at jagged stones while desperately trying to get enough elevation for a clear signal to reach Victor, Nikki, and Nick, was one of the most defining moments of this entire arc. His urgency, his willingness to risk injury, or worse, showed how deeply he believed the threat of Aristotle Dumas extended beyond Cain, beyond Arabesque, into something that could upend the entire Newman empire. That moment, etched into the memories of viewers, cemented Adam's shift from hesitant conspirator to relentless pursuer of truth. When he learned Cain's fate was no longer the objective, he followed the trail of Flynn with a determination bordering on obsession. But Cain's world was irreversibly shattered the moment Aristotle Dumas was exposed online. The news broke like wildfire and consumed his reputation with merciless speed. Investors withdrew, clients panicked, and the company he fought so hard to build, Arabesque, collapsed beneath the weight of public outrage and financial sabotage. And in the cruelest twist of all, the downfall was not caused by Victor's schemes. It was orchestrated by Phyllis Summers, who stole Cain's AI weapon and delivered it into the hands of Genoa City's most dangerous power player. Lily Winters watched Cain unravel with a mixture of heartbreak and resignation. She had loved him once. Deeply, fiercely, painfully, but time and tragedy had reshaped that love into something harder to define. Being around Cain stirred emotions she thought she had buried, emotions that resurfaced with alarming force the moment he revealed himself as Aristotle. His confession shocked her, not only because of the scale of the deception but because of what it said about the man she once knew. Aristotle Dumas was more than a digital identity. It was a manifestation of Cain's insecurities, his hunger for validation, his unresolved fears of irrelevance. And Lily saw through it immediately. When Cain pressed her for clarity, Lily told him the truth, that she did not love him right now. The phrasing was deliberate, honest, and devastating. She wasn't rejecting their past, she was rejecting the version of him consumed by ego and secrecy. But her confession did not extinguish the connection between them. Instead, it created a complicated intimacy, a reminder that love, real love, is rarely clean or easy. Cain heard her words, and yet he also sensed the flicker of possibility in her voice. She didn't love him, but she didn't hate him either. She didn't choose him, but she didn't walk away. And for Cain, living at the edge of ruin, that was enough to spark hope. Cain wanted redemption. Not glory. Not revenge. He wanted to prove to Lily that he could be a man worthy of forgiveness. And the first step toward that redemption was giving her the one thing he had guarded with obsession, his AI weapon. When he placed the drive, containing the power to manipulate corporations, destroy reputations, and influence global markets, in her hands, he believed he was offering her proof of his transformation. He believed that by trusting her with the destruction of Aristotle, he could purge himself of the darkness that consumed him. But Cain didn't realize he was already too late. Phyllis Summers had hacked Arabesque's entire system long before Cain approached Lily. She knew every file, every pipeline, every encrypted layer of Aristotle's code. And she had already removed the master drive, the fully functional USB containing the entire system, before Cain ever decided to surrender it. Whether she intended to protect Cain or destroy him, even Phyllis herself couldn't have answered. Her motivations were layered. Ambition, survival, anger, curiosity, and a twisted sense of justice. She believed Cain was too dangerous to hold such a weapon. She believed the world might benefit from someone like her controlling it instead. And when Victor approached her with an offer, she took it, eager to regain relevance, power, and a future where her influence could reshape Genoa City. But Victor Newman, as always, had no intention of making her an equal partner. He made that clear the moment she suggested the deal was reciprocal. He corrected her immediately: it wasn't a deal. It was an exchange. A transaction. Nothing more. Phyllis would provide the AI weapon, Victor would use it to bring Jabot to its knees. And when the dust settled, he promised she would become the head of Jabot, installed by him, controlled by him, dependent on him. For Victor, it was a brilliant strategy. He would humiliate Jack Abbott, seize control of the rival family's empire, and position Phyllis, a volatile but fiercely capable wild card, as his puppet CEO. She would be the shield, the distraction, the compliant figurehead. And the Abbotts would never recover. But Phyllis, in all her fire and unpredictability, had no intention of becoming anyone's pawn. Victor believed he owned her, but Phyllis Summers has never truly belonged to anyone. She plays alliances like cards, discards them, reshuffles them, and deals again. And though she agreed to Victor's terms, she knew deep down that she was holding a weapon far more explosive than he realized. Aristotle Dumas wasn't just data. It was chaos. And chaos always finds its way back to its creator. Meanwhile, Lily's emotional struggle intensified. She sensed Cain's sincerity when he offered her the AI, but she also sensed the shadow of Phyllis hovering nearby. A woman who always appeared when chaos was most ripe for harvesting. Lily knew Cain's desire for redemption was real. She also knew that his desire for her forgiveness made him vulnerable, possibly blind to the people manipulating him. She wanted to believe he could change. She wanted to believe that the love they once shared could somehow evolve into something new. But she also saw the wreckage Aristotle had caused, the lives lost in France, the families affected, the companies destabilized. Loving Cain meant loving a man who had wandered too far into darkness, and Lily feared he might never return. Adam Newman, watching everything unfold, saw the story differently. He had been tasked months ago with exposing Cain, but Chelsea's moral objections and Adam's own conflicted instincts delayed him. Now, as the truth spread like wildfire, Adam understood why Victor had once been so intent on taking Cain down. Not because Cain was a threat to Newman Enterprises, at least not directly. But because Cain represented the kind of unpredictable, self-made chaos Victor despised. Cain was dangerous, but not in the calculated, politically efficient way Victor preferred. He was dangerous because he was unstable, because he operated on emotion rather than strategy. Because he created weapons he couldn't control. Adam's renewed pursuit of Flynn now seemed prophetic. The mysterious figure lurking in the background, pulling strings, influencing events, possibly manipulating Cain himself, was a threat Adam could not ignore. The moment he climbed that cliff in France to warn his family was the moment he realized that the war was much bigger than one man or one company. It was a battle against shadows, against hidden operatives, against digital ghosts capable of reshaping reality itself. And now, with Cain broken, Lily conflicted, Phyllis armed with a stolen AI, and Victor preparing to weaponize it against Jabot, Genoa City stood on the cusp of a transformation no one could have predicted. Every family was in danger. Every company was vulnerable. Every secret was at risk. But the most dangerous truth of all was this. No one, not Cain, not Victor, not Phyllis, not Adam, truly understood the full power of Aristotle Dumas. And whoever ends up owning that USB drive will control the future.